It's that time again where these college students' woke gender nonsense gets exposed. As I usually say, I am not going to talk anymore, so let us get into the video.
Do you think that there are more than two genders?
Well, I don't really think there are. Well, it's sort of a. I think gender's kind of a spectrum, kind of. I don't think it's like two separate things, if you know what I mean. I just think like you sort of look how you want, sort of dress how you want, sort of thing. Because if you think about it, that when you're when you're born, you're already put in these sort of boxes. Yeah. And you have to either sort of follow that.
It's one big stereotype.
Yeah. Or you kind of think, oh, I'm not going to, or you sort of, you know, there's not, basically.
Yeah, so there are an indefinite number of genders.
Yeah,
so if I said there was 50 or 100, you'd say yeah.
Yeah, but then not all people use like labels.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
People just kind of.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, do it.
Could you name the genders?
Look, a lot of people will say, Yinka, you are judgmental. And as I say, I kind of am. And I'll say this once again for all the people who are watching, new and old. These people who talk about all of this nonsense always, or let's say majority of the times, have a certain look, and the people who are watching know the look I am talking about.
If you think there's more than two, the stereotypical two, if you think there's more.
I guess people use like, I don't know, non-binary, but that's, I guess if you're using non-binary, that says that gender is a binary. Technically it's not if you go by the sort of view that
it's a bit ironic, that one.
Yeah, so
it is.
I guess you can't really name it because some people don't go by labels. If you look in other cultures, like I can't remember what the tribe is, but there are certain tribes and stuff where they kind of have a third sort of gender or role, or they have like mixed kind of opinions of how like should act and stuff.
Yeah, and we should probably look.
I've heard this argument said so many times, and it just shows how stupid some people are to use that type of argument, that there's other cultures of people who used to do certain things and they had more than one gender in other cultures. Yeah, other cultures also used to engage in cannibalism. Does that mean we should now start engaging in cannibalism? Do you see the stupidity of the thought process that these people are going through?
Look at where those tribes are and how they live, because it probably wasn't comparable with Western life and how we live. But I see your point. I'm conscious of time. Can I ask you, on the subject of trans activism, do you think that we should be pushing children to transition to the opposite gender? Do you see any ethical or moral implications there?
I mean, I personally can't say anything because I've not got a child. I mean, I didn't go through that.
But your opinion as a voter in the UK matters.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. Do
you think we should let kids be kids, or do you think we should push it on them?
Before we get back into the video, I need all of you to turn on your post notifications so that you get notified when one of my videos come out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video if you enjoyed the video, comment down below. I'll try and reply to as many comments as possible, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at YinkaThatGuy. Let's get back into the video.
I don't think it's pushed on them. I think people
Definitely
like
is.
I mean, I think most people who are sort of like trans, they kind of know from like young age, and I feel like people who aren't trans, we can't fully kind of put ourselves in that position and say to them, oh, you can't transition or something, you can't do this.
So do you think it's possible to transition to a different sex?
I mean, it's hard because when you're young, your brain's not as sort of like developed and stuff.
You're not fully developed at 12, for example, as you are at 20.
No, but then you kind of know yourself better than what other people do, so it's kind of a sort of dilemma. I don't have a straight answer for that, honestly.
It's very difficult. Can I ask you a question? Do you know when you were a child? Did you know what you wanted to be?
No.
No. I wanted to be. I know it sounds really cliche. I wanted to be a superhero, but it's a good job that I've grown up, because otherwise, if I wanted to transition to a superhero, I could go and jump off that roof, couldn't I?
Yeah.
It's funny how he's slightly mocking her with the questions he's asking to show the absurdity of the positions that they're taking, and she doesn't really notice what he's doing. But it's funny while I'm watching this to see the questions he's asking and how he's asking them, because he's really taking some slight digs at how stupid their positions are, which is very funny to see.
Yeah. I think it is definitely more of a cultural thing, because if you look at other sort of I don't know, like countries, they kind of view gender as like different, and I mean even like families, because I was sort of raised as quite a gender neutral, like I was just sort of left to do what I wanted basically. I was allowed to play with like boys' toys.
Yeah, pink wasn't forced on you as a colour.
No, actually my mum dressed me in sort of like blue stuff, so I was personally raised as quite a kind of open-minded sort of person.
You were left to make up your own mind, your own decision about.
But then I know that not everyone gets that kind of upbringing, so it's kind of, it's very culturally kind of dependent, I think. Do you just lastly, do you think that pushing marketeering, branding, profiteering of anything to do with the idea of trans and kids, do you think that's child abuse? I don't know really.
Can an 8-year-old make its own decisions?
Yeah, well, yeah. I think they can. Yeah, I guess. Again, it depends how they kind of view that sort of how they've been raised and what sort of view they have, and I don't know. It's quite hard.
It's complicated, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry,
No, it's fine. Fine. No, that's fine. You've done amazingly. So just lastly, if it's not, and you're saying that an 8-year-old could decide something like that, they don't have the mental capacity, as we've already established. If they wanted to start drinking from a bottle of scotch, and you found that if you had a kid, then you could argue, well, they're actually doing what they want to do, so leave them to it.
Yeah, well, I do get that point.
The uni aren't accepting that. Who the fuck is?
I'm talking about our institutions here, so it's quite a big topic. So on that, that's very, very kind and very useful of you. Would you be able to name any genders for me? I mean, obviously I know about 2 of them.
So there's female.
This is where she tells me she's a gender PhD student.
I'm not, but I do run LGBTQ events.
Yeah, sure.
And safe spaces for everyone.
So go on then.
Female.
Yeah.
Male, non-binary, trans, students. There's so many more. I'm female identifying myself.
I find this whole thing to be the most humorous thing that has hit the face of earth. She named male, female, trans, but then when they talk about trans, I thought trans people, when they're trans female, doesn't that mean they're also a woman? So wouldn't that still just be a woman? It wouldn't be another gender. Shouldn't a trans male just be a male? So that wouldn't be another gender. That's still male, female, according to these people, because they say trans women are women. So she named us male, female, trans, which would just be male, female, so let's take that off the park. Non-binary, which would, as we've already established previously in this video, non-binary tells us that there is 2 genders, which is ironic. But we'll let them continue to believe in this nonsense and claim to be open-minded, as they love to say they are.
So I don't really feel like it's my place.
Sure.
But the thing is,
you're allowed to do that though, right? You're allowed to identify as what you want. If they can, you can. Do you see any potential consequences? Because there's consequences for everything.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are angry because they don't understand.
So a lot of division, a lot of anger.
And division, creates war.
Totally.
Creates war.
And that is just not what it's about.
That's not what we want it to be about.
No, it's about community and respect and love for each other, and that's all it is.
And what about getting more specific and closing up now? I appreciate your time. What about the issue of safe spaces for women and bathrooms?
It's important.
And women not wanting to be with
trans
biological.
Women are women.
Oh, I see. So so men wanting to become women who go through that process are biological women. They can become biological women.
No, not biologically.
No, in terms of gender identification.
Gender identification, trans women are women.
Yeah.
They have been women. So gender and sex is a completely different
They're
thing.
2 different things. Yeah.
And gender is what you identify as when, and that also
Social construct.
it cuts out such a big group of people who, people that weren't assigned their right birth when they were born.
Yeah.
And it cuts out them from the entire equation.
Would point would then that would transfer into sports as well, as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, I think
so for example, in contact sports, boxing, rugby, the really nasty stuff where we get hurt. Speaking from experience, that's you're completely fine with if a man identifies as a woman, if she's gone through whatever,
trans woman,
if whatever they've gone through, then they should be treated equally as that gender. and within all domains that we're referring to.
Yes.
Okay, I really appreciate your time.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
The ABCD community strike again with all of their open-mindedness. But anyway, that was another video, another reaction. As I usually say, if you guys enjoyed the video, like the video as much as possible, comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter at YinkaThatGuy, and I am out.